Hello, all of you. I warmly welcome all of you in this audio storybook Random Stories. Name of today's story is Hate or Love. It was a quiet afternoon, and the clouds were playing hide and seek with the sun, causing the temperature to remain relatively cool. A small green painted house stood in the middle of a vast piece of land. The house looked tiny compared to the expansive land surrounding it. A road lay adjacent to the piece of land in the east direction, while deep pits had been dug in the remaining directions. Despite the isolation of the house, small green grass had grown on the vacant land around it, offering a touch of beauty and comfort to the otherwise barren terrain. A little boy and a little girl were running around, laughing and playing in the grass. The boy wore a simple half-pant shirt in a brown-green color, while the girl had on a green frock. As the children played, a 14 or 15-year-old boy watched them angrily from a pit at the back of the plot. He was dressed in an old-looking red dhoti, and he held an old brass kamandal in his hand. He had tied Rudraksha beads twice around his arms and wore a coiffure on his head. Despite his anger, the boy remained hidden in the pit, his clothes and body soiled with dirt and dust. His eyes remained fixed on the children, and his heart filled with bitterness and resentment. Suddenly, the loud sound rang out. The little boy and girl stopped playing and looked towards the source of the noise. The older boy also heard the sound and quickly made his way towards the house, hiding behind some bushes as he approached. From the direction of the road, a car could be seen approaching. It was a sleek black car with tinted windows, and it slowed down as it neared the green painted house. The older boy watched as the car pulled up to the house and three men stepped out. The men were dressed in black suits and had serious expressions on their faces. They walked towards the house, their eyes scanning the surroundings as they went. The older boy recognized one of the men as the local crime boss, a man named Ravi. As Ravi and his men approached the house, the older boy felt a sense of fear wash over him. He knew that Ravi was not a man to be messed with, and he wondered what he could do to protect the little boy and girl. Suddenly, the little girl started to cry, and the older boy saw Ravi turn his attention towards her. The crime boss walked towards the little girl, his face twisted in anger. "What's wrong with you?" he barked at the little girl. The older boy knew he had to do something to protect her. He stood up from his hiding spot and walked towards Ravi. "Leave her alone," he said, his voice trembling with fear. Ravi turned to face him, his eyes narrowing. "And who are you to tell me what to do?" The older boy stood his ground, his eyes locked with Ravi's. "I won't let you hurt her. Or the little boy." Ravi laughed. "You think you can stop me? You're just a kid." The older boy took a step forward, his fists clenched. "I'll do whatever it takes to protect them." Ravi looked at him for a moment, sizing him up. Then he turned to his men. "Take him." The two men grabbed the older boy, holding him tightly as Ravi walked towards him. The crime boss looked at him for a moment, then raised his hand and slapped him hard across the face. The older boy felt the sting of the slap, but he didn't back down. He looked up at Ravi, his eyes blazing with determination. "You can beat me, you can even kill me, but I won't let you hurt them," he said, his voice steady. Ravi looked at him for a moment, then laughed. "You're a brave kid. I'll give you that." He turned to his men. "Let him go." The two men released the older boy, and he stumbled backwards, catching himself on a nearby rock. Ravi turned to leave, but as he walked past the little girl, he stopped. "Take care of both," he said to the older boy. The older boy watched as Ravi and his men got back in the car and drove away. He turned to the little girl, who was still crying, and walked towards her. "It's okay," he said. "I won't let anyone hurt you both." The little girl looked up at him, her tears still flowing. "Thank you," she whispered. The older boy knew that he had found his purpose in life, to protect and care for those who needed it the most. And with that, he started his new life.